y'all? It's Barbara Dajour, and you're tuned into another episode of Off Limits, where I talk literally anything and everything, and nothing is off limits. Today, I have Jibri Blount of North Carolina Central University, and I'm so happy to have you here today. So just tell the viewers a little more about yourself.
Well, I'm a rising senior from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Student athlete, obviously, like you said, at North Carolina Central. So
most athletes give you the cookie cutter answer. Authentically, how is it like being a student athlete?
Well, being a student athlete, I mean, growing up, that's something that, you always dream of being a college athlete. You watch it on TV, you see March Madness, and you grew up always wanting to be a part of something like this. So, I mean, it's obviously a blessing to be able to go to school for free and have your education paid for and be a part of like collegiate sports and stuff like that. But it's definitely a challenge. It's definitely something that's isn't as easy as it always looks or as it may seem to other people around. So being a student athlete has definitely been a challenge for me.
What's something that you didn't expect to being a student athlete that you probably seen people talk about it but you didn't know until you got to be one?
Right. Well, the hardest thing is the schedule. You have a different schedule almost every day. You try to get into a routine, and you have your classes, you have workouts, and you have your practice schedule and team events and stuff like that. So that's probably something that most people don't really understand is how you're always going. Like we had talked about before, there's that new commercial that the NCAA put out, and it makes everything look so
unrealistic.
Yeah, unrealistic. It's not really that cut and dry. So when you always have something to do, and you might have to prioritize, and you might have to stay up later than most kids do because you had a practice that was late, or you might have to be eating late, or get something on the go because you had practice after class or something like that. So that's something that has been the hardest thing to balance, but once you get it, you kind of understand, you just get used to it.
And it's probably harder because I'm pretty sure y'all in college, this is a one in a lifetime thing, so you want to have a social life and still be able to then be in time for practice and all that. So I know that's adding the social part is hard.
Yeah, I think the social part is something that a lot of guys struggle with, and that's something that your freshman and sophomore year, you go through and you try to balance your freedom and things that you didn't really have in high school, being away from the care of your parents all the time, and having your own time to do really whatever it is that you want to do. But you got to make sure that you're getting your work done. You got to make sure that you're being responsible, and that social life is something you got to make sure that you're maintaining a good social balance.
Now, being a student athlete comes with a lot of responsibilities. Right. Do you think it holds a strain on relationships, whether it's like romantically, with your family, even platonically?
I would say with my family, they've always been there to support me.
Yeah.
So those are the people, it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, For me, my family has always been there to support me through anything. So, having a strenuous schedule or being a college athlete has never been a problem through my family. Relationship-wise, I think that's something that, I would say almost every college athlete struggles with. You grow up and you're the man in your town, from where you're from, everybody has that person that they've always, had back at home that was there for them, or, somebody that they might have had a relationship in through high school or something like that. And when you move away, like I said before, having such a busy schedule and having so much things to do, you don't always have time to make time for that person. And then you coming in and being at the top of the social events and things that are going on. When you go into a party, people are like, oh, that's the basketball team. When you go out in public, people so you're getting a lot of different attention and stuff, and being able to balance that is probably something that not a lot of student athletes are able to do. And I know for myself, that was something that I struggled with in a relationship that I was in. And
you gotta make time for everything. And then us women, sometimes we just want attention. So
right, you want that attention.
Yeah.
And you want that something that you as an athlete, you feel like that person should understand. But I mean, it's just
it's kind of hard if they're not an athlete. It's kind of hard for us to understand.
Right.
Just some people don't put themselves in other people's shoes. So yeah, it's pretty hard.
And the person that I was in a relationship with was an athlete, so it's when she was free and I wasn't free.
Oh, that's even hard.
it was kind of tough. But I
and
feel
then when
like,
y'all are free, it's like y'all want to relax because
Yeah.
you school, working out, all that.
right, and trying to be on the phone, make sure you're finishing your work and stuff. It's kind of tough. So
Now, we all have our ups and downs with social media, whether you're an athlete or not. And then athletically, you have like the commitment videos, the fancy ones they have now,
Right.
comparing yourself to what you think are better players, more talented players, or just reading what people say about you after like a bad game.
right.
How does that affect you, if it does?
Right. Well, I mean, in the times that we live in now, everything is almost revolved around social media.
Yeah.
Like we said, the social aspect of it, your commitment, like videos that you see, like things that happen in your relationship. A lot of problems people have are based off social media, where people get bullied. So, I mean, social media is something that I feel like that you have to really just find a balance with it. You know what I mean? If you have things that are going on social media that you can't really focus on your schoolwork, or you can't focus on the things that are important to you, then like social media is something that can be very toxic. And I know for myself it has been toxic at times, and I've had to delete an app or deactivate my Instagram, or just get rid of a Snapchat for a while, because there's a lot of distractions. Just like you say, when somebody might be saying something bad about you, but it's the same thing, when you have a good game, everybody's blowing you up, everybody wants to be your friend, and you get on that social media high. But then, when you have a bad game and there's
everybody turn on you.
You feel a sense of like emptiness, and you can't allow that to be what makes you whole. You know what I'm saying? Your social media, and I feel like that's something that people nowadays struggle with.
And it could be such a thing as in like, I'll see like a bunch of good comments, even with what I'm doing now. I'll see like good comments, but the bad one sticks to me like
every time.
It's like, and it's probably because it's like an insecurity we already had about ourselves. It could be just something that we thought, but we let it go until we see someone say it, and it's like, and I'm a defensive person, so it's it's so hard not to respond, because you can't give trolls the answer back, and that's what they want.
Right.
So it's really hard, and then also comparing yourself. Like we could see someone that's our age and they're doing way better than we are, and we trying to compare to them. That's my problem. I'm like, I'm 22 and we're young, but we just comparing ourselves to other people our age.
Exactly, and then like, you're comparing yourself to other reporters. You might be comparing myself to other basketball players, and then even like, like you said, in a relationship, people, you're comparing yourself to other people that like, you see your significant other liking or something like that. So that's something that you struggle with, and like, it's tough in these times now that we live in, but it's like something you have to deal with.
But it's like everything isn't what it seems, because I know I don't post my lows that much. Like maybe if I get to where I want to go, then I would show my L's. Like I try to take my L's in silence. So that's why people are not posting how many obstacles they had to go through to get to this, or how easy it was. Some people have like connections, so it's like I have to think in my head that they could be lying. It's social media. It's like you could take a picture in front of a car and it's not your car. Like little things like that, or you could wear some clothes that's rented. So I have to realize, I want to rush, because we see the gold and the glitter or whatever, and I'm like, I want to be there, but you got to realize it's probably not my time. Right,
and exactly, and that's the same thing that like you said, you see where somebody's at, but you didn't see the process they took to get to where they are. And of course, nobody's like, naturally people are going to show when they're not looking good, or when they're not feeling good, or like when they're struggling through something. But when you make it to the top, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, we just won our championship, and I mean, I didn't post when we would lose. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't post when we but.
So you post the wins because you're happy to.
Right, exactly. So that's definitely a struggle, and definitely something that like you have to balance with. Right.
Now we're gonna go more into relationships. Is it a such thing as closure in your opinion? Like closure, like when you break up and you just, or even it's an argument, you get closure from a situation.
I'll say closure from a situation, yes, but I mean, just like anything else, when you're saying like you overthink, you can get closure from it and you can move on from it, but it's something that you'll never really forget. You know what I'm saying? If something happens, like for example, somebody cheated, or somebody like, did something that like was a little shady, you know what I'm saying? You might get closure from it, you might move on from it, but it's like, if something that like triggers that, or like, you're using those same behaviors that happened before, come back up, then you're automatically going to think back to, I remember when, trust issues. So that's how that happens. Now, when you say closure in a relationship, I mean, it depends on like what kind of relationship it is. Like, if it's intimate, if it's somebody that's, you've been like involved with and you've had history with, I feel like, you know, it's hard to get closure from that. I mean, especially like we said with social media, you're seeing that person all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
you can lurk. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So you see those type of things, and it's like it's hard to get closure, especially if you don't really want the closure and somebody else does. Then it's like, well, if they were ready to come back, you would let them come back. So
see, I think closure is a setup. I think it's just a setup to rekindle things without going through like what really needs to be said and finished. So I know this might sound very like immature of me, but if I do, I still may do closure, but it's my closure. I wouldn't tell the other party that I'm getting closure because then it's a setup. People manipulate. It could be women or men. And so it's like, and I could be easily manipulated if the person knows me well enough and knows like the buttons to push. So I would just say, this is in my head, I'll be like, this is my last time. Yeah. And that's only romantically. With friends, I think that's worse though, when I'm losing a friend. Yeah. Because it's like, they know more. I feel like in my situation, they know more about me than someone I'm romantically involved with because they're your friends. Like, you're not even trying to be all, you're not impressing them or nothing. Not impressing so it's like, they know some things that you probably don't want other people to know and all that. So I hate, like, the closure thing. It just seems like, I don't think I've ever sat down with someone and was like, all right, our friendship is over. I got nothing but love. I don't think we've never done that because it's like hurt feelings and you just don't want no arguments, no fights. So I just feel like closure is a setup.
Yeah, I think that too. I mean, like you said, especially somebody that you've been in with for a long time. I feel like, you know, when it's time to get that closure, when it's time to, you know, and you set it up together and you say, okay, let's get this closure. Then it's like, one side can always say something that's going to be like, oh, I missed that. Or, oh, like, you know, I don't feel like I'm going to be able to get that with anybody else. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, for yourself, you know, you have to know what's healthy and what's unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? This, when people's habits change and when they start, you know, doing things differently and acting outside of the way that you know a relationship or things are supposed to be, then that's when you have to just be like, I'm getting closure on it.
So when we talk about relationship and the ups and downs, infidelity is obviously a down. Like, me and my roommate, we always laugh when we see, especially athletes, when they post, this is my wife or my girl, and we've been through the ups and downs. The downs mean they cheated. So I'm just sorry, that's what it means. So do you think you would take someone back? I know it's like the stigma of guys, but like, I know some guys that's not famous that took back a girl. I just feel like it's more of the connection, but what do you feel like? Would you take back?
I mean, it depends on, like, you know, how it is. Like I said before, like, if the habits have to change, the habits have to be, you know, like, you have to be able to show somebody and prove and, like, you know, use the things that you know about yourself and about your relationship to show that person that, you know, you're going to change it. So for myself, I feel like, you know, if somebody were to, you know, do wrong by me or, you know, to cheat on me, I feel like that I could take them back. You know what I'm saying? It depends on, you know, what they do though, because I mean, but you know,
and also it could be who it is, who the person is. Like, it's a lot.
It's a lot that goes into it. Like, of course, if it's like, you know, one of my friends or like a cook,
absolutely,
like,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. You know what I mean? But you know, there's different things that happen, and you know, now we live in, you know, people don't like to say it, but we live in a power and sex and money driven, you know, world. So it's like people are involved with a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And like things happen, things go on, and I feel like, you know, it takes a mature person to be like, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna change these habits and I'm gonna do this, and I'm like,
it's possible, it's just hard.
Yes, it is.
Well, thank you for coming in and talking about all these things. Most people are scared, you know, really, they just have to give you the cookie cutter answers. Right. And I'm like, you know, we want to show more athletes because they are more than like dribbling a ball or throwing.
Oh, of course.
You know, just showing more of what they do off the court. So thank you for coming in, and thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more, just like, subscribe, and until then,